Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is a best of 5 series of Protoss versus Terran. We're in game number 1 in the top left-hand corner, playing with the blue Protoss pieces. We have the man who's considered by many to be the greatest Protoss player in the world, and he goes by the name of herO. His opponent in the opposite corner, likewise also one of the all-time greats, playing with the red SCVs from South Korea. We're looking at KjER's main command center. Alrighty, so this particular best of 5, it was played during IEM Katowice in the round of 12. A $500,000 StarCraft 2 tournament that was played just a couple of weeks ago. Now I figured for this particular cast, you know what I'm going to go ahead and do? I'm going to go ahead and switch to the dedicated observer camera. I don't know if this is a good idea or a bad idea, but in case you're unfamiliar, the way that StarCraft 2 tournaments work, not only do we have, well, a camera on the crowd, cameras on the players, sometimes we have cameras on the casters as well. That is just to feed our egos, and I guess to sometimes have us on camera as well. But we also have dedicated in-game observers. As a matter of fact, for this particular series, there are 2 dedicated in-game cameramen. So I'm assuming here that the camera I'm currently on is Mapu's. Mapu, what are we looking at? I know what we're looking at. I think there's probably a sponsor logo or something like that that is not present in the actual replay files. Anyways, I can't take control of the camera at any point, but yeah, I figured let's go ahead and give this a try, because this man is literally paid to control the camera, and he's much better at it than I am. So yeah, let's follow along and see what the dedicated observers were looking at the time. Alrighty, now herO, of course. I mean, technically speaking, he's currently the number 2 ranked Protoss in the world. That is because MaxSpecs is statistically the number 1. But you gotta put a little asterisk right next to MaxSpecs' name because he doesn't play offline events. And because of that, a lot of people say he doesn't really count. Yeah, there's something to be said for that, obviously. When you're playing, right? So for herO and for KjER, they flew in from South Korea. They're playing on a stage. They are using their own mouse and keyboard, but they have different headphones. They have a different setup, obviously. If they look past their monitor, they have a different monitor too. But if they look alongside their monitor, there will be a crowd there, right? Like, it's very different to play in an offline setting than it is to play from the comfort of your own home. So, yeah. Statistically, maybe MaxSpecs is technically the number 1, but there's no denying that herO has been the most successful tournament Protoss over the last couple of years, at least when it comes to the big offline events. KjER, I mean, I always feel like KjER is, I've mentioned this many times, but I feel like KjER is a little bit underrated. Really, genuinely, one of the greatest, nah, that Reaper's dead. One of the greatest Terrans in the world. Especially in TVP, he's always very much so impressed me, but whenever you ask people, like, who are your favorite Terrans, who do you think the best Terran in the world is, rarely will you hear KjER's name. I think KjER is pretty much for, like, the last 5-6 years or so, he's always been, like, a top 5 Terran. The guy is incredibly good, and certainly not somebody you can just... I guess he doesn't win as many events, right? That's kind of the thing. He doesn't win as many events as, say, for example, a Maru or... say, for example, a Clem, right? Those guys, they tend to win quite a few events and quite a few tournaments, both inside of Korea and outside of Korea, but KjER's got his fair share of victories. Anyways, KjER is gonna have to deal right here with herO's Blink opener. A good old Blink start and nothing all too weird. This is something that herO has been doing many times over the years. He's very good at it. The main question is, how many gateways does he add on? So currently, we're only on 2 gateways right now, with that gateway on the production tab finishing up. Warp gates are done as well, so this is not a super aggressive push just yet. But KjER, of course, can always choose, or sorry, herO can always choose to add on additional gateways here, rather than a 3rd Nexus. Stimpack coming up on the back of this too, for our Terran player, and we do have a single Cyclone. Cyclone very nice defensively, and well, we do have a Hellion driving in, trying to figure out exactly what is going on. Sees the timing right there of the gas in the natural expansion, and apparently that is going to make him comfortable enough to switch on over. It's a double barracks opener here for KjER, so he should be able to get into that combat shields upgrade relatively easily here as well in just a second. We'll see the engineering bay upgrade with the +1 infantry weapons here start up momentarily too. Robo Bay on the back of this already for herO, and he will be looking for that 3rd Nexus. So a relatively passive start. Yeah. herO for the longest time has been the type of Protoss who's in your face the entire game long. One problem, I guess, that herO and MaxSpecs have brought upon themselves is that, yes, they're very good at 4-gate all-inning, right? So 4-gate Blink Stalker, that's something they've done so many times. But because they've done it so many times, they also made it easier for the opponents to learn how to play against it, which is a real first world problem to run into, I guess. Maybe they should have done it a little bit less infrequently, or they should have done it less frequently, and, you know, would have been nice. Good scout right there by Kjær. Kjær was looking at that, right? So that is the sign right there. That is the hallmark of a great player. I mean, obviously, there's many things that add up over the course of a game, but the fact that Kjær knew the exact timing at which that observer is supposed to arrive, and to look out for the little shimmer right here on site delta, super, super good. Obviously, that does require herO to play a clean game as well, and those are the sort of things that don't really work so well in, say, like Diamond League and below, as they do at the pro level. But at the pro level, these guys are usually within a second or so of everything that they do. Alrighty, Stimpack is done. Combat shields finishing up in just a few seconds. Kjær is making himself up for a big attack, and at this point there's only one Colossus. Oh no. Well, there was one Colossus. That poor guy got sniped out of the sky. Beautiful move right here by Kjær though. Little bit of an odd timing to go across the map. Almost a bit of an anti-timing, but look at how brilliantly this works out. It's just bruising that Nexus for a little bit. He would always kill it on his way out. There's no medevacs with this army. So I don't know if the bio units here realized that this was going to be a one-way trip, or at the very least, there was a chance they would get boxed in by a bunch of force fields, and then a Colossus and a bunch of charge slots would start murdering them, but yeah, it is still going to be a one-way trip for pretty much all these units. But they have paid for themselves, certainly. Getting the Colossus and the Nexus here alone is already incredibly nice. Like, obviously that wasn't free for the Terran, but this really takes the wind out of herO's sails. Because what exactly do you do right now if you're the Protoss? Well, you're not really set up for aggression. You've lost the Colossus, so you can't really go on the counter-attack either. All you can really do is just hope and cross your fingers that Kjær is gonna, well, make it easy for you. Double expand would be an option, I guess, but that would be very, very risky. One way to try and get back into the swing of things. So herO is aggressively positioning a bunch of Stalkers to try and maybe get lucky and intercept a couple of those medevacs that try to go across. Great observer positioning right there, and he does see exactly what's going on. Medevac, yeah, scooting along the top section of the map here. So that one is just barely outside of the vision range. Should I switch over to the other observer's camera? This is the other observer that was also in the game. Sometimes when they do a live broadcast, as we do have the medevac drop coming in, recoil immediately being used right here. I think I prefer controlling the camera, actually. Yeah, I'm gonna take control of it again. Sometimes we have a picture-in-picture, so there's like two bits of action going on at the same time, and, well, both observers are looking at something else. Either way, push over here over at third base as the Protoss is distracted. This is me on the camera again, guys. Yeah, maybe my ego is too high. Maybe, no. It's kind of nice to look at what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Obviously, whenever I mention, hey, it's the Blink opener, I would like to be able to look at the Twilight Council and show you guys that the Blink is research, eh? I've tried my best over the years to become a decent observer myself as well, and I think I've gotten pretty good at it. But if you go back to some of my earliest casts, it's actually such a mess. One of the main bits of feedback we've heard over the years at Home Story Cup, which is a very different StarCraft 2 tournament where the pro gamers are usually also casting and observing games. Pro gamers observing, it's an entirely different style. Let's leave it at that. Big medevac drop heading up north. herO will see this. Okay, and Kjær decides to unload the medevacs and not really take any risks here. They're gonna skirmish, but the Colossi are nearby. And unless there would be a hit squad ready to fight over at the bottom of the map as well, maybe try to get the snipe on the 4th Nexus. There's nothing of that set up right now for the Terran, but Kjær is not going to be able to achieve anything right here with this particular army. And he's still hanging out though. He wants to go, I think, for a drop in the main base. Kill the Zealot, kill the Pylon, hang around for a little bit longer. Yeah, he's scared. He's very scared. He's running away. Anyways, one of the things that usually happens at Home Story Cups is this is how pro gamers like to observe replays, okay? This is how we have had pro gamers observe games. It's nice, isn't it? This is how they analyze their own replays. Specifically, Raynor is very well known for that. Whenever Raynor joins the couch, I have to make sure I take the mouse away from the man, because he will observe like this. It's an acquired taste, you know? It's like your first sip of coffee, you're like, ugh, this is... Why would anybody drink this? I would imagine that... I haven't gotten used to the pro gamer observing yet, okay? But yeah, the acquired taste, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get there. Alrighty. herO trying to claw himself back into the game. The problem is losing that third Nexus was so expensive, right? Like, it's really slowed him down a lot. Losing the, Prism here is also very sloppy. Cure is happily building up his economy and his army. The only thing I don't like right here for Cure is that he hasn't started up 2-2. So 2-2 should probably start up any time now, although his army might already be big enough. Yeah, he's thinking about it. Dark Templar are coming. Disruptors on the production tab here as well. Where are the 2-2 upgrades here, Mr. Cure? There we go. He selected them just now. He's got an armory. They're expensive, and I guess he prioritized unit production here. Even goes into the 4th command center too, before adding on 2-2. So there's the +2 infantry weapons. I think Cure thinks he can win the game with this unit composition that he's got right now. But that is also a little bit risky. Delaying those upgrades does give herO a chance to get back into the game, assuming he survives this attack. He's technically got the tools, Cure that is, to win the game here. But there's a lot of splash damage. Quick battery overcharge as well. A couple of SCVs end up falling because one of the Dark Templar decided to show up. Cure trying to get an angle here. Ooh, is he gonna chase this army up the ramp? Ooh, great snipe right there on the Disruptor. No more Novas for you, good sir. He's playing this cautiously. He doesn't want to take any chances. Problem is, this has been a rather greedy game here by herO. There's a full base on the left side of the map that is completely unscouted at the moment. Dark Templar are buying herO a ton of time as well, so he's hoping, now the base gets found, he's hoping that he buys himself enough time as well to get that economy to pay off. Okay, now is there enough? Big blink forward over here. Colossi dealing a ton of damage. Zealots warped in and trying to charge at this unit composition from the back. He actually does clean up this unit comp. Lovely work right here by herO. That is that moment. Cure's certainly not in a terrible spot here yet, but that is a moment that Mr. herO was hoping for a while. He's gotten away with murder. Question is he gonna be able to hide the evidence, right? Is he gonna be able to stay alive for a little bit longer? I think Cure, well, he still has a massive army, and that's the main issue. He's got about a 30 supply advantage as far as the, now it's a 20 supply advantage as far as the army goes. A lot of splash damage though still in herO's unit comp. I wouldn't mind seeing a second robo facility and maybe warping in a few more of those units, but alright. Command center flying down south. So these two are maybe not next door neighbors, but they are living right next to each other now. Usually that seems to favor the Terran because they can go for a parade push straight towards the Protoss side of the map. I'm not really in love with the way that herO is controlling some of these engagements though. Like, it looks a little clumsy and there's a bit of nervousness in my mind anyways when I look at that unit movement. One problem that herO falls into a lot in his games is that when he gets nervous or he gets stressed out, he starts using the all army hotkey a little too liberally. And that's a problem that every StarCraft 2 player runs into. But it really is something that you have to try and prevent. Alright, well this could actually backfire. Cure waiting down at the bottom. Medevacs did return back home, by the way. Okay. We are gonna try and bowl a strike. A couple of the SCVs were caught in the Nova. Cure comes back. But I think that serves herO just fine. Look at the supply count. For the first time in a long while, ever since that third base got sniped. Oh no, he still needs to be careful. Cure coming in from multiple angles, trying to collapse on top of his army. Novas are going off. Disruptors, okay, getting decent connections. Colossi, though, are falling. Good stutter step control. Zealots coming in from the left side as well, trying to get a wraparound on some of these bases. Okay, Vikings will be able to finish the job on all of those Colossi, and I think ultimately that was an excellent engagement there for Cure. herO almost managed to get back into the swing of things, but now he's finding himself with a 50 supply deficit once more. Yeah, this was probably the worst position to be in. There was really no reason for him to walk in that direction. And those are the sorts of moves that you will mostly make when you're not comfortable, right? Like, those are the sorts of decisions that you make when you're playing from a different spot. When you're playing from the comfort of your own home, you think about those details a lot more. Cure, playing a very lovely game. Maybe playing a little overly cautious, right? That is something he sometimes does. Not seeing this 4th Nexus until it was already fully up and running with a bunch of structures right next to it. Suboptimal, but Cure does obtain the victory. Equilibrium. Game number 2. It's the map name, by the way. I didn't just say the word Equilibrium for no apparent reason. Some of the map names in StarCraft 2 really are a bit funky. I do like Equilibrium, actually. I think it's pretty good. Yeah. I always get it confused, though. Is it Equilibrium or Equilibrium? I think I used to say Equilibrium, and then people corrected me, and it's Equilibrium, but now I get it mixed up in my head. Fairly sure it's the long E. Cheeky old engineering bay block. This is one of those builds that I think is fantastic. Just overall, I like it at the pro level. I like it even more on the ladder. Protoss in general, super build order dependent. And now suddenly when herO is going to try and, well, save up some money and make a Nexus on the low ground, he's going to find himself against a good old Engie Bay. Now, he did go for a Zealot, which is actually kind of nice for him. I don't think the Zealot... Oh, no, he cancels it. Yeah, you make that Zealot for a little bit, right? So, the idea is, like, if your opponent shows up with a bunch of units, you can let the Zealot finish. But if you, well, don't, then you can go ahead and just cancel it. Instant Stargate right now. Luckily for him, it was a double gas. This may very well prompt herO, though, yeah, to go for the golden minerals on this map. And he will. Okay, well, you've brought this onto yourself, Cure. Now suddenly this engineering by block is a little messy. Because this is still resources caught up into a thing that is ultimately delaying the Terran's command center too, right? So you're using that as a structure to delay the Nexus of the opponent, but also you're investing a lot of money into what could have gone into your own command center. So yeah, by delaying your opponent, you end up delaying yourself. It's just that Protoss in general is a little bit more build order dependent and a little bit more strict as far as all of the timings go. So, yeah. I, because of that, tend to favor it for the Terran, but especially on the ladder. At this level, I don't really know if it is as impactful. It's just something that herO will have a lot of experience playing against too. Now this is always nice. Sorry about that, little adept. SCV is gonna sacrifice itself. It did see the Stargate right there. Let's just double check. Yeah, it did see the Stargate, so that's nice. But he didn't see the third, well, I always call this the third, but he didn't see the Nexus over at the golden minerals. Oracle number 1, going across the map. Obviously, he knows it's a Cyclone. Question is it a second Cyclone, or is it a Cyclone into a Widow Mine, or something along those lines? herO's not even gonna fly it across. He's making the assumption right now that Cure is going to be well protected against an Oracle opener, so he's going to be using it defensively. Looks like we had a recall, by the way. I always like this little move. I'm going to back off for it for just a moment because it looks pretty. We'll fast forward. This is why we need our dedicated observer. We have a recall going from the main base towards the golden minerals. Usually you grab about half the mineral line, just like that, and then you bring them on down towards the golden minerals, and you can quickly continue mining. It's actually so much better than sending SCVs or drones towards a base like this. Like, it's very costly. I think a worker transfer is very undervalued in general. Like, by casual StarCraft observers, right? So for every second that your workers aren't mining, you lose about 0.8 minerals. And obviously, if you have to send workers from here all the way down to the low ground, and it's about 10 of them, it adds up very quickly. Like, you end up losing very, very quickly over 100 potential mined resources, and that is something that you can make up for by, well, harvesting a little bit quicker here with the rich mineral fields, but it does take a bit. Love that super bright colored assimilator, by the way. I've never closely looked at the assimilator on this particular map. Anyways, Cure coming across the map with a large army. This is essentially a one base opener here from Cure, because he's only got one base. That means he's got a lot of units. If, however, he does not kill this... Oh, no! Well, if he doesn't kill this base... is what I was gonna say. This is a disaster for our Terran. I think this could be arguably even worse. It's not over yet, though. Yeah, I was gonna say, herO, you need to be... you need to be respecting this. This buys you a lot of time, yes? Okay. Cure is gonna try and just drive back home, it looks like. Blink is coming up right now, I was gonna say. We didn't see that yet on the production tab. Love the Phoenix, by the way. I think a Phoenix is a very good option. Lifting up anything, super nice. Don't go too ham on the Revelation, though, because I do feel like we probably need that energy here eventually. Alright, well this is a fantastic start right now for herO. Not only does he have the golden minerals, he's playing 1 base versus 2. Or, he's playing 2 base versus 1 rather. 900 minerals, or 900 income advantage here. That is massive. Kjor decides to go for the interference matrix research together with a Raven. This is really good if your opponent is going into Colossi, which is very common from a Stargate opener, right? So Phoenix is into Colossi, super nice. However, at this point, Kjor is doing a bit of a coin flip. He doesn't know what he's playing against. And against a Blink follow-up, this is quite suboptimal. I mean, the Raven can obviously still interference matrix stuff. It can still drop a bunch of auto turrets. It's rarely a bad choice, but this is Kjor hoping that it's going to be a Colossus follow-up instead. And there may be Colossus eventually, but not yet. Alright. Blink is going to finish up within the next half minute or so. Kjor is going for a move out right now. We're currently at 3 gateways. 4 are gonna be available soon. I do believe that herO has got all the tools at his disposal to deal with this Terran army, but it needs to be microed properly. Now, if anybody can micro it, I really do believe it should be herO. There's 1 siege tank available. That siege tank is gonna be able to shell at some of those probes. Okay. I mean, especially with the oracles here. Yeah, I was gonna say, is he just gonna aggressively blink? Yep, he will. I mean, this is expensive, though. But I think it's okay, considering... Yeah, he wants everything. Oh! Okay, I think the Raven is more important, yeah. Alright, Phoenix is gonna be... Oh! What? No. Phoenix is gonna find it here eventually. Alright, well, Terrans are very good at turtling, of course, right? Like, this is something that they have specialized in over the years. They're very good at not dying. But at this point, I wonder if we're just gonna have an overwhelming force right here. herO is teched up towards, well, decent units here. He's going into a Robo Bay, but he's got a solid economy too, with the 3rd base already up and running in the natural expansion. Kjor is sitting at a solid amount of supply, so it does have to be respected. And obviously, siege tanks, when behind the walls and whatnot, yeah, they have to be... You have to be cautious about it. You can see that that is really the case here too. herO not wanting to make any mistakes. So again, this is for a tournament that has $500,000 on the line. You don't want to mess up, right? You don't want to be in a situation where, yeah, you allow your opponent to get back into the swing of things. So playing it maybe a little bit more cautiously than he would for a smaller online cup. 3rd command center is going to start up as well. All right. I think herO in an online tournament would certainly be blinking around the main base. You know, blinking around the Terran's main base. Yeah, I'm feeling festive already. It's maybe a little early, but or a little late. All right. Well, ultimately, Stimpak, combat shields, +1 infantry weapons. One thing herO can do is strike when the iron is hot. And usually the iron is hot when Terran tries to secure the 3rd command center. Right? There's one of 2 options right now for Terran. Either he's gonna fly the 3rd command center on over in that direction, that's when Protoss can strike. Or Terran's gonna put all of their eggs in one basket, make one big move out, and try to win the game with that army. Right? Those are the 2 options. And in both of those scenarios, herO should have it beat, assuming he does not fight into the Terran sieged up position behind all of the structures with the static defense and everything else. So, yes, there was a chance that herO could win the game right now. But yeah, look at that. Crossing his T's, dotting his I's, not taking any chances. He's got vision all over the map. Knows 100% sure that there is no medevac sneaking around. He's positioned in such a way that he just knows what's happening. Stays his wards left, right, and center. Okay. There's the CC. It's a slow flight, or a short flight, rather, on this particular map. I think this would be the moment where we can strike here, herO, if we want to. I mean, we don't even need to, because now we're still playing 4 Nexus versus, well, just 3 base Terran. Colossi are, however, out. We have 69 probes. Nice. Or, I mean, nice. And I would also like to see a prism here if we're being very... I think we just fight these dudes. Now, this is a different herO than what we normally see, though, right? Sometimes we can criticize herO a little bit for being too aggressive. But he's got 4 Colossi, and there's not a single Viking available. Yeah, it's pretty good. This is pretty good. Prism coming up right now. We have about a dozen gateways available. 9. Okay, well, we're gonna fight this. And I think this is the fight we could have had a minute or 2 ago. And it would have been okay. But herO, yeah, making it as safe as possible. Going around the side, kills the SCVs, kills the command center. And I think this is mostly Cure just having a very slow death animation. GG. Hard Lead is our next map. Both players decided to send out a worker right at the very beginning. However, they did not quite see the opponents. So that means that there's currently a barracks building all the way on the low ground. And even though herO did get into the opponent's main base very quickly, he doesn't see the barracks where he expected it to be. Does that mean Cure is cheesing? Not necessarily. But where in the world is that barracks? Well, it turns out it's positioned in such a way that a Reaper can go straight after the mineral line. This is of course a bit risky too, because very frequently do we see Protoss players walling off, well, around that Reaper jump up location. But not in this particular instance. herO may very well go and check out this high ground anyway, though, because this is a location that we see proxies in every once in a while. No, he's not going to check for it. He's going to check the... No, he's not going to check the back either? Okay. We're just going to go straight into a Nexus. He's not afraid. Yeah, this is Cure we're talking about, right? So even when he's cheesing, usually it's relatively conservative. This is not like a Beyond level cheese where we're building all of our structures outside of the map, although I've seen Cure mix that in every once in a while, but I don't really see him doing that in a big tournament like this one. Okay, Reaper Man, straight into the main base. Cybercore finished up right now. Stalker will be coming, but yeah, how many probes will go down? I think 2 workers would be good. So far, excellent probe control right here by herO. Ooh, pops it into the gas geyser too. Lovely control right here on those workers. 0 probes have gone down. Wow. Wow, all right. That was pretty much perfect. Yeah, that was as clean a defense as you can hope for. herO should expect a second Reaper. I was gonna say, it's always a second one with a proxy like this, or at least it should pretty much always be. Gets 1, 2. Okay. Alright. He gets 3 workers there for his troubles in the end. Stalker was mispositioned. Stalker should really have set up over here. Don't know why it was over there. Makes no sense. He, yeah, it's the little moves, right? Like, those are the sorts of things that I'm looking at and I'm like, herO is probably not feeling quite as comfortable as he ordinarily is. I feel like Cure, I mean, he made a bit of a mistake in the previous game, right? But Cure kind of got out-strategized. Somehow also due to his own engineering bay block though, right? So he decided to go for a 1-base opener with an NG bay block, and then his opponent went for the gold base. So he slowed down his own 1-base opener, and he forced his opponent to go for a gold. I think strategically that wasn't very smart, but I'm not looking at Cure's decisions, and I don't like him. Like, I feel like he's playing solid, straight up StarCraft so far. Reaper number 3, by the way. That's a little bit funky. Quite like that. Okay. Well, herO's starting to fall apart a little bit. Yeah. If he can get 1 more, that would be huge. Nah, it's not gonna happen. Oh, he's accepting his death. A little bit of time to meditate there, right before the end. Alright, so there is the Blink upgrade coming up. Of course. I mean, we saw a Stargate opener in the previous game, but Blink is, of course, herO's go-to. We're still talking 5 worker losses, though. Now, of course, Cure also did slow himself down a bunch. Primarily because the barracks isn't home, so it can't build any add-ons. If you can't build any add-ons, you're gonna have to have the factory do it himself. I know, ugh, I don't want to build add-ons. It sucks, but it is what it is. Factory is gonna be able to, so we have a cheeky little Widowmine drop, sorry. I did not quite pay attention to that. Mappa wouldn't have missed it. Anyways. Yep, there we go. Ultimately, there should be enough tools available right now for our Terran player to defend whatever it is that the Protoss is going to send. We're only on 3 gateways. Really not that much. 3 gateways is usually the middle of the road approach. Yeah, you will go for a 3rd nexus, but you can also deal damage on the other side of the map. It's actually become very uncommon to just go for a 4-gate opener. I think you can really only go for the 4-gate opener when you play a pretty much perfect early game. So say, for example, the Widowmine drop comes in, Protoss snipes the medevac. It deals no worker damage at all. When Protoss loses a bunch of, or when Terran rather loses a bunch of stuff, then suddenly that Protoss 4-gate all is amazing. You obviously will still need to micro your butt off, but it's a lot better when you have a flawless early game. In this instance, when you lose 9 workers, yeah, it's gonna be tough. And there's gonna be a couple more, I would imagine. Okay, 1 more. Because the Raven is gonna come and hang out. Another downside of going for the Blink Stalker, you can't reach these locations. So when you're going for a Stargate opener, even when you go into Oracles, right, you can still make a Phoenix, and just like what we saw in the previous game, get rid of these units that are constantly hanging out in the dead space. Now he has to dedicate 3 Stalkers over here, and maybe a Stalker or 2 over there too. Raven's gonna drop down another auto turret. Yep, there it is. Another auto turret. They actually deal a lot of damage. Yeah. Good targeting there as well. Stalkers in the meantime in the main base. 1 SCV killed. Okay. So, Cure is gonna go into the combat shields, the Stimpak, well, Stimpak combat shields, and then the +1 infantry weapons. That'll be a bit of a skill check for herO. When those upgrades are done, suddenly Terran hits a big power spike. The holy trinity of Terran upgrades. It's gonna finish up and gonna feel pretty good. Yeah. Decent harassment. Not in love with it though. Yeah. Not in love with it at all. Okay. Now we are going for a relatively microless army here as Protoss. So this is mostly just Stalkers, Zealots, and Sentries. +1 is about halfway done, maybe 40% of the way done. Charge is already finished though. But here comes Cure. This has again been a really cleanly played early game here for Cure. Not really making any mistakes. Comes across the map. 3rd command center, I guess, relatively late, but that's because he's been prioritizing unit production. Infantry weapons are done. Okay, gets a free Stalker. Yeah, free Stalker at the cost of a unit. It is important here for Terran to not overstay his welcome. Because obviously, while this is going on, Protoss is going to be warping in defense after defense after defense. And yeah, hallucinated Colossus, I love that. That may very well scare the Protoss for just a little bit as he does decide to back up, trying to get away from those, well, those lines of fire that the Colossus is not shooting. In the meantime, though, let me back off while that was going on. Close your eyes, Protoss! 14 probes end up going down. So herO decided to pull all of his Stalkers to the front of this battle line. And they were handy. They dealt a bunch of damage. But ultimately, it came at the cost of a ton of probes. Yeah. Cure's looking rock solid, man. Like, even his reaction right there against seeing the Colossus. I mean, he flinched a little bit, right? Like, that is a bit of a scary moment, but it's the right choice. Not really making any mistakes. I don't really like the timing so much on the 3rd command center. That one feels very late to me right now, but he's been doing a good job staying ahead of the competition. Microing back against the force fields as well. I think he can chase this if he really wants to. I guess there are a few force fields still available. No real reason for it. Yeah, they're dancing. He's flirting with death. Command center are gonna move on over all the way towards the left. herO does not have vision of it, but Cure does not want to go down to the low ground. Okay. The real Robo Bay is now done. And we should go into Colossi here in just a moment. herO going into the opponent's natural, it seems. He cannot fight this army, though. This Terran army is way too big. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, even the Zealots right now, we have a couple SCVs going down. Big warping in the main base. Okay, fair. But even though the force fields right there were supposed to help out our Protoss, I think they were not bad for the Terran either, because those Zealots were just easy pickings. 15 SCVs, though. That's respectable. Oh, hello. Oh, alright. He's gonna get the recall. Did not think that that was going to happen, but fair enough. In the heat of the moment right there, apparently the Vikings decided to turn around. 18 SCVs, but a considerable amount of Zealots also ended up falling. Keeping the Prism alive is actually very nice. Anti-armor missile here on a couple of those Stalkers. Fair. Okay. Yeah, there's a certain rigidity right here to the way that Cure plays. Rarely do I see Cure in a position where I feel like he is not in control. You know what I mean? Like, even in the previous game, obviously he was pretty much dead, right? For like the second half of that game. But he knew that what his position was suboptimal, and he was just trying, right? There's no harm in trying. Whereas I feel like herO in this game so far, in this series so far, is relying a little bit more on luck. Double-pronged aggression here, always a good choice. Stalkers in the main base decided to disengage for just a bit. Now, this is a bit of a YOLO drop here in the main base of the Protoss, but ultimately he's still going to get decent trades. Fight over here, okay, going well for the Terran too. Yeah, I like what Cure is doing a lot. There's another Colossus spawning here eventually. It's against Marauders though. Prism? Prism does snatch it, just barely. Oh, Immortal still falls. Ay, ay, ay. Terran reinforcements once again coming up. Gas is building on the other side of the map. The only thing I can really criticize Cure for, and I think this is a conscious decision, is the timing of the 2-2 research. That is not the first time I bring that up in the series. Yeah, if there is going to be a way back into this game for herO, I think it is through upgrades. Because Cure is apparently currently very fond of being ahead and then spending all of his money on making units and delaying his upgrades, yeah, by design. So here we go. He gets deflected, and now he goes Armory and Engineering Bay. But that's Engineering Bay number 2. This is going to delay those upgrades tremendously. So that also immediately means that, yeah, he can still go for like a drop or so, but for the next few minutes, herO gets to do whatever he likes. And whenever Protoss is in the mid-game, get to do whatever they like, it usually involves splash damage. It's very easy to mess up. We don't yet have Ghost either for the Terran. Another thing that makes the follow-up here difficult to play. Now, don't get me wrong, Cure still with a massive supply lead. But it is something that can suddenly disappear. Medevacs, by the way, on the left side of the map, threatening to go into the main base. Protoss now moving across, gets one of the medevacs. I think, yeah, this is the moment. He sees the medevac go down, instantly commits. Quick recall, though, on the entirety of the, well, units that fit inside of the circle anyways. Alright. So there's the Ghost Academy. Still no 2-2. There we go. Finally, we started up. Where's the... Ah, it's over there. Okay. Oh, medevac goes down. Okay. Beautiful. Great moves right here by herO. The first proper mistake made by Cure. As far as the unit control and positioning goes. That is something where usually Cure is incredibly strong. Okay. herO's gonna try and see if he can punish his opponent for this. No ghosts, no 2-2 research. Prism was not killed, so that bad boy is still ready to warp in reinforcements. Is there enough for Protoss to win the game? SCVs are pulled away from their mineral line. Lasers are being shot at everything that wants to get hit. So many workers are falling. The Colossi will ultimately end up going down as well, but Stalkers and Zealots are ready to clear out everything that's left over. One Immortal in the back as well. Brilliantly done right here by herO. He had to fight for it. He had to find mistakes from the opponent. He had to create opportunities for himself. But he did manage to do so successfully. And that ultimately allows him to win this game, it looks like. Wow, okay. I feel like herO's winning about 85% of it, but it's only the last 15% that really matter. Golden Aura is our 4th map. Match point right here for the Protoss. And herO decides to start off this game by sending an SCV. Alright, straight towards the other side of the map. I love to see it. Second SCV also comes in. Alright, herO. Apparently, when everything's on the line, that is when our South Korean Terran decides to go for an all-out assault. So to clarify, at this stage in the tournament, it was the round of 12. It's a single elimination bracket. So the winner of this particular series, he moves on to the quarterfinals of Katowice, and there's a very significant prize. There's a very significant prize pool increase as well after winning this series. I don't really know exactly what the difference is, but I could look it up. Anyways, doesn't matter. What is important is that the loser of this series is eliminated from the event. So the fact that herO is ready to put it all on the line with what seems to be a Marauder all-in. Okay. I would not have expected this from the man. And let's see. Do we go concussive shells already? Because I do think ultimately you want to go concussive shells, but it's a pretty quick research. There it is. The age-old question, how many of these Marauders do you save up before you commit? Probe, by the way. No, that's a Zealot. Going across the map, herO seeing this would have been amazing for him, but he does not. He is gonna get the heads up, I guess, in a moment that something is wrong when the Zealot gets across the map and he sees a whole lot of nothing. Okay. Well, I think you go in just a moment. Yeah. Keep pumping out those Marauders. Wait until concussive shells are done, so this is gonna slow units that are affected by the Marauders' attacks. Okay. Adept immediately goes back. SCVs will have to be pulled as well. Instantly, we have a load of shield batteries going down, but yeah, it's a little too late. Insta-cancel on everything on the low ground. Oh, I love that bunker here. That bunker is so dangerous. Okay, probes pulled away. They want to try and get a wraparound right here on those Marauders. Trying their best. It looks like they did manage to separate one from the group. Although for now he manages to escape. Ultimately though, gets picked off by that Stalker. New Stalker is coming up. We're going to micro to the best of our abilities. SCV's back to mining. I don't know if that Zealot got recalled. The Zealot at the very least though at this point is dead. So many workers have already gone down. But honestly, cleaning this up is the most important part. Yeah. I say that. I think that may just be enough workers though. 13 probes is substantial. A lot of lost mining there as well for a long while, so that's why we have this roller coaster over here in the income advantage. herO was not mining for a little bit. He now sees how many workers there are remaining, and it looks like we're all the way back down to 12. That is as many workers, at least as far as minerals go, that you start the game with. So herO can continue mining here. herO in the meantime, he's got himself an orbital command done together with a full saturation on minerals. So his income is going to be significantly bigger than that of our Terran. Or of our Protoss, rather. Okay. Here come the Marauders. Now he wants to go into a Stargate here. Effectively play a one base all-in, I guess. Any more probes at this point, and I think it's game over. Yeah, he wants to go for the throat, though. Go straight for the Stalker. Stalkers can't run away with concussive shells. Just picking off whatever is possible. New Marauders are showing up. And herO with a cheeky little all-in. This is not a build we see all too often. With a cheeky all-in. Ends up obtaining the victory, it looks like. I mean, Oracle is coming. At this point, there's nothing that shoots up. So, I mean... if we really want to believe, there's technically still a chance. But if this pylon falls... nah, there's no way. Stalker there ends up going down. Probes once again pulled away. It looks like the Oracle will spawn, though. Yeah, problem is Oracles have a limited amount of energy, and they can't fire all of the time. So... yeah. With more and more Marauders sprinkling in, He's actually stopped making them now. Going into some base defense, I suppose, is okay. Yeah, he wants to run away. So now the Oracle's without energy. Oracles need a bit of base energy as well in order to actually start up the pulsar beam. So it costs energy to activate the attacking animation. GG. Of course, that means that Cure obtains the victory. Alcyone, our final game for today. It all comes down to this particular map. Cure did send an SCV early once again, but there is a barracks building at home. I think this is just gonna be for the good old engineering bay block. herO sending the probe early. Yeah, he does not want to be caught against any sort of shenanigans once again. Ultimately, he does see it coming up. The age-old question is always, when exactly do you pull the workers? Do you pull workers at all? Do you just let the zealot finish? What exactly is the correct follow-up here? And as per usual, making a StarCraft 2 player think while they're playing the game, that's the most dangerous thing you can do to them, as we're playing Ring Around the Rosie. Ring around the Rosie. Look at these lads having a grand old time. Sorry, this is cracking me up. Ultimately, the SCV will, of course, escape. herO is still gonna just go for the third base, despite calling... Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Despite having... Really? We're gonna do it? Oh my god. herO, you absolute madman. I thought he was gonna go for the third base, but he's gonna go for the gold base. He could have done this a lot earlier if he wanted to, but... Anyways. Respecting the engineering bay. That can backfire, though. But we already saw this backfire earlier on Equilibrium, right? When Cure also decided to go for the engineering bay block, and ultimately he then just got outsmarted, right? He ended up getting outsmarted because, well... he forced his opponent to go for the gold base. Engie bay did get cancelled, so he got most of his money back. So obviously, eventually, he can go for a command center on the low ground, but ultimately, even though this is a late Nexus, this is a much later command center than that still. We have ourselves 2 Cyclones now, building as well, and there is the Stargate. Okay, will it be Oracles? Will it be Phoenixes? On Equilibrium, it was Oracles. I would imagine it's Oracles this time around too. Bunker is coming up, but of course Cyclones cannot go into bunkers, as Jimmy, just his arm and his gun, that's all that remains. Jimmy ended up getting murdered by this adept. It is gonna be Phoenixes, okay. The micro is gonna have to be on point. Probe ends up going down immediately. That does mean that the adepts live. A little bit of a micro battle. Ready to ensue here. Because Cure realizes that he needs to slow this base down. Obviously he can... Ooh, really? We decided to go for the extra chrono on the Stargate here rather than recall. That surprises me a bit. Is that a mistake? Or does he really want to have those Phoenixes out ASAP? Because right now he's going to heavily oversaturate this base. I think he should have recalled. Yeah. Anyways, I guess he's going to be able to do so in about a half-minute time. But still. This is mitigating some of the advantages right here of the golden minerals. Adepts need to be careful. Cyclones, of course, can move and shoot. There we go. At the same time. The Cyclone definitely feels like a different unit against these Adepts in particular. At least compared to the previous iteration of the unit that we had at the end of 2023. And then for a couple years before that. Anyways, Adepts and Phoenixes. Looks like we did get a recall done, by the way, towards that Nexus. So at least herO is going to be able to start making use of those golden minerals. But yeah, I don't love that too much, to be honest. Like, that really does slow down his economy quite a bit. Like, he took all those risks and then he oversaturated the main. Are we going to commit? We are going to commit. One of the units will go into the bunker. Can we start lifting up some units? Okay, a little bit late right there on the Phoenix lifts. Yeah. I don't love it. No, I don't love it here for herO. Sloppy play overall. Not necessarily bad, but just suboptimal, you know? Yeah. So we will see the Terran player advance right now. And obviously the risk of this particular golden base is that it can be harassed from the back. Okay, this is going to make things very, very difficult here for herO. It's a combination of things that add up. Looks like the reinforcing Protoss units may be able to push all of this back eventually. Yeah, this is really bad here. This is really bad right here for our Protoss. So, one of the issues, right? One of the things that we hear about all the time in StarCraft 2 tournaments over the last year or two. Protoss has not been performing nearly as well at the absolute highest level. And people will point to a series like, for example, this one. Well, look at it, right? They like look at the results and they're like, oh, these games, they do seem kind of tough right here for Protoss, no? Reinforcing Terran units do show up here. Yeah. But does this look to you like a series so far that is decided by balance? I think that Kira has been playing substantially better here in pretty much all the games. Even the games that he ended up losing. He's been playing quite a bit better than herO overall. Yeah. It's always a question, right? So Protoss has not won a premier tournament now in StarCraft 2 for about 2 years, which I agree is really bad. Like, that does really suck. However, I am not necessarily convinced that it's because of Protoss not being good enough, you know? That Protoss overall is just not powerful enough. If that is the case, I think I would be one of the first to admit it. Because as a fan of StarCraft, I think we would all agree that it's fun. If Protoss would also, like if all three races are equally able to win tournaments, right? But word on the street actually has it that in the Protoss versus Zerg matchup right now, according to both Protoss players as well as Zergs, especially Zergs, that matchup is actually slightly Protoss favored right now. Like the top tier Protoss players, they're basically all saying that it's actually really, really good right now for Protoss, which is interesting. And then you look at the herO games, and herO just seems to slap Protoss around, and it doesn't even look particularly close. But I guess you always are gonna have an outlier. Yeah, it's tricky. It really is tricky. It really is a combination of things. So obviously, MaxPack's not playing offline tournaments suck. A lot of the good Protoss players that we've historically had, like for example Trap, like for example Zaun, like there's so many CEST, right? All of them going off to the military in South Korea, also not very helpful. I really do believe it's a combination of things. And maybe there are some balance improvements too, that could make Protoss ever so slightly better, but I feel like so far this series, with the advantage that Kira has currently created for himself as well in this game, it is not due to balance. No. If our goal is to try and get the better player to win, I think so far Kira has been playing quite a bit more impressively. Yeah. Now there is definitely a fragility though. I guess that's the best way to put it. There's definitely a fragility to the Protoss early and mid game for sure. Because you're very reliant on splash damage, and it's really easy to accidentally lose the game. Like say you play a perfect game as Protoss, then you can go to the mid game. Say you play, however, a slightly sloppy game, you lose a couple of units, usually Terran will win. On the flip side, if Terran makes a mistake early on, usually we still go to the mid game. Because you can defend quite nicely with siege tanks and building positioning and all that. So it does feel a bit different, but yeah, at this point, Kira is not gonna shoot himself in the foot a second time around. Little mistakes add up. I think the recall towards that base being missed really put herO in a super tough position. And now suddenly he has to deal with a massive ball of Marine Marauder Medevac. Honestly, Kira hasn't even really needed late game units in this series, right? Like, how many Ghosts has he really made? Ghosts are one of the units that people complain about the most. We haven't really seen any of them. GG is cold. It's Kira who obtains the victory, 3-2. Now, I'm interested in hearing your thoughts regarding the balance of this matchup down below in the comment section of this video. Do you agree with the general StarCraft enjoyers that Protoss is struggling because of balance? Or are you also not entirely convinced like myself? For now though, have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to smile, and I hope to see you once again tomorrow for another video.